In this example, we're asked to add 1 to m over m plus 1. We're given a whole number, we're going to add it to a fraction, but we still need to find our LCD. Since 1 is just 1, or 1 over 1, 1 will divide into anything, so our LCD is just the denominator we're given, which is m plus 1. And again, we do the same procedure. We have to convert each fraction to fractions over m plus 1. And we see now that 1 is actually m plus 1 divided by m plus 1. Since m plus 1 over m plus 1 is 1. And this fraction is going to be the same thing as the one above. So we'll just have m over m plus 1. So now we can add our fractions. We have the same denominator. See, we have 1 plus m over m plus 1. Well, since we have the same denominators now, we just add the tops to get m plus 1 plus m divided by m plus 1. m plus 1 plus m. And we combine our like terms to get 2m plus 1 over m plus 1. And so that is our final answer. In a previous situation where you have a whole number and a fraction, there's an easy technique to add very quickly. And we call this crisscross and smile. If you have a over b plus c over d, two fractions, and they're simple fractions, an easy way to add these is to multiply a times d and b times c. So we get a times d plus b times c, and divided by the product, the smile, the crisscross and smile of b times d. So let's look at some examples how this can work. Suppose we're asked to add 1/3 and a half. Well, 1/3 plus a half are simple fractions. Easily we can use this technique. Crisscross and smile means we do 1 times 2 and 3 times 1, so we have 1 times 2 plus 3 times 1, and we're going to divide it by the smile, 3 times 2, so 3 times 2 is 6. If we add this, we get 2 plus 3 gives me 5/6. So an easy way to add simple fractions, our answer is 5/6. Here's another example. Here we're asked to add 1 to 36 over y. Again, these are simple fractions, and you might want to recognize that 1 is actually 1 over 1. And so using our technique of crisscross and smile, we're going to do 1 times y plus 36 times 1 divided by 1 times y, the smile, 1 times y. And so our answer is y plus 36 over y. Very quick way to add simple fractions. Here we're asked to add 2x divided by x squared plus 2x plus 1 to x divided by x squared minus 1. The first process is always to find the LCD. To find the LCD of these two, we actually have to factor them. So let's go ahead and factor them. X squared plus 2x plus 1 can be factored into x plus 1 times x plus 1. Notice x times x gives me the x squared. We're going to get plus x to give 2x, and 1 times 1 to give me 1. So let's put this in the denominator. Now we want to factor x squared minus 1, and that factors into a sum and a difference, x plus 1 times x minus 1. So let's put this in the denominator. Now we have factored the denominators, we can now find the LCD. And the LCD, remember, we have to take each of these factors and the highest power on the factor. Well, we have a factor of x plus 1 here, and we have a factor of x plus 1, but we have it squared here. So that has to be in our LCD, x plus 1 squared. And we also have another factor of x minus 1, so that has to be in our LCD. And so our LCD is x plus 1 squared times x minus 1. Now we have to create each of these fractions as equivalent fractions with x plus 1 squared times x minus 1 in our denominator. Remember, x plus 1 squared means x plus 1 times x plus 1. So let's do that. And now we look at what's missing in each of our denominators. X minus 1 is missing here in this top one. So we have to multiply the top, this fraction, this rational expression, by x minus 1 over x minus 1. And so here on this will become, the equivalent fraction will be 2x times x minus 1 on top, and the denominator lower one, see that's the same denominator here and here. Similarly, with this expression, we have to see what's missing in this denominator from this one to make it equivalent. Well, we're missing an x plus 1 from on top. So we multiply the top by x plus 1 over x plus 1. Once we multiply through the top, we get x times x plus 1 on top, and x plus 1 times x plus 1 times x minus 1 on the bottom. So the denominators are now the same, and we can now add through to get 2x times x minus 1 plus x times x plus 1 divided by our common denominator of x plus 1 times x plus 1 times x minus 1. Now we have to simplify this result. So let's take these, distribute through the parentheses and combine like terms. If we distribute firstly, what we get is 2x times x is 2x squared, 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x, plus x times x is x squared, x times 1 is x. Now we can combine like terms. Remember, like terms are the x squareds. We can combine those, and we can combine the 2x and the x, negative 2x and x. So we combine these like terms to get, well, 2x squared plus x squared is 3x squared, and negative 2x plus x is negative x. Now we see if we could do any more simplification with this. There is one more step we can do. We can actually factor out an x from the top here. We can actually write x plus 1 times x plus 1 as x plus 1 squared. So doing those few things, what we get is x times 3x minus 1. We factored out an x here. And we just multiplied x plus 1 times x plus 1, wrote it as x plus 1 squared times x minus 1. So this is our final answer after adding these two expressions up here. In the next set of videos, we're going to look at why we want to do this, and this helps us in solving rational equations.